Nigerians, good afternoon, and once again, welcome to Nigeria Decides on Trust TV. We all kept vigil yesterday, anxiously waiting for the emergence of a new president, and we thank the Almighty for making it happen as Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged victorious at the end of the hotly contested election. With me in the studio is our in-house analyst, Kehinde Amadu. Once again, welcome back.
Thank you for
having me. You've been part and parcel of this analysis for many days.
Yes.
So what is the ambience so far? It is now 2:30 or thereabout.
Everybody is quiet.
Yeah.
I think Nigerians are trying to decide whether they should celebrate or not. But in Lagos, the celebrations, and now that's strange because the president-elect lost to the Labour Party in Lagos.
Yes.
And yet there was celebrations around Lagos.
Yes. So some describe it as thunderous celebrations.
So I think basically it showed that the elections in Lagos was not one-sided. There's a side that supported the president-elect, and there's a side that supported other candidates.
Yeah.
And, so that's why you would see that kind of celebration in Lagos.
Okay.
There are areas in which people are still undecided about whether to celebrate. And that's probably because of the drama that happened at the National Collation Center yesterday.
Yes.
And they may think that, maybe these results could be overturned or something. But generally, I think there is an air of hope.
Okay, across
the
country, because sometimes people describe silence as golden.
Yes.
While some say silence is actually pregnant. You don't really
know.
Understand what
yes.
will happen. But on a general note, the election for the presidential has come and gone, and we hope that the ambience being witnessed in Nigeria will continue, right? Now, Buhari, this morning, he sent a congratulatory message to the president-elect. But one or two things that we will discuss here is he said that it is generally peaceful, it is a fair contest. Do you expect less verdict from the president than these two words that he used in his congratulatory message to the president?
I think he also gave his reasons. And what he said was that the character of the elections, or those that emerged as winners in this election, changed.
Yeah.
It wasn't, that means the winners were not predicted.
Honestly, and our in-house infographic desk, they actually captured the map that we have here, as you can see it. It's really awesome.
Yes.
So he said the map, the political map of Nigeria for the first time
changed
since 2003. Yeah, and we also have it there on our screen. So. What will you say about it? Let's start with the southeast, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can see that the southeast there, where you see the red votes, you see the red colorings showing the penetration of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
All through there.
Yeah.
Then you see. Okay, the red here shows the penetration of the Labour Party.
Yes.
The blue shows the penetration of APC. And then you see that solo sky blue there,
yes,
which shows Kano. You understand?
Yes,
but
the lone state.
Yes, but generally what this map is telling us is that, okay, look at a state like Rivers there.
Yes.
The Rivers was traditionally a PDP state.
Yes.
Now we are seeing the APC that the candidate won in Rivers, which is blue. Then, of course, as we expected, the blue states in the southwest, now Osun State, right in the middle there,
Yeah.
went to the PDP,
Yeah.
as did Akwa Ibom, as did Bayelsa. So, you know, it is scattered around. It doesn't show everything in one place. It
Yes.
shows that there's been a real
A radical change of
radical
sort.
change.
Yeah, yeah.
And the traditional strongholds that used to be are no longer traditional strongholds. It's a good, you know, it shows us that people
Yes.
voted their minds,
Yeah.
and this is reflected in the election results.
Yeah. And the president, I want to quote him. You know, he said, the election was Africa's largest democratic exercise in a region that has undergone backsliding and military coups in recent years. This election demonstrates democracy's continued relevance and capability to deliver for the people it serves. Within Nigeria, the results reveal democracy's ripening in the country, right? Never has the electoral map shifted so drastically in one cycle. In the presidential election stages, all regions across nations change colors, as you have started analyzing. Some among you may have noticed my home state amongst them. The president lost his state to opposition.
The opposition.
And the candidate that won also lost his state.
His home state. so you know, it just clearly shows that if you want to argue fraud, then you can't argue it along one side alone, because it affects everybody.
Yeah, because every president will like a situation whereby it will be written in history that he delivered his state to his party.
State. And the leading contender would not want
that he first brought his own state to the basket.
Exactly.
But they all lost.
They all lost. So it's very difficult to now say, cancel the process and begin again.
But I saw some people, especially from the opposition, since early yesterday, right, saying it was like a framed-up thing that they allow Lagos to go to the opposition so that the ruling party will use it as an alibi to justify the election.
There's some level of dishonesty in saying that.
All right.
Because the APC lost some of its traditional strongholds.
Yeah.
It doesn't just stop with Lagos.
I wonder, look at Yobe, for instance.
Yobe, since the days of NNPP, has been along that line.
Exactly.
And, you know,
Kano. It also
is also
go to the opposition. Yeah. Look at Kaduna, for instance. In this democratic dispensation. Yeah. And Gombe. Yeah.
So, it will be dishonest to say, oh, they let some states go and I don't believe that. I think that it's a representation of the will of the people. Immediately, people started to agitate yesterday. I knew that probably after collating the state's results, they already had a picture of what was coming.
Yeah.
And so that was the only way to cause the aim and the goal was to stop the exercise.
Yes. And
you know, this is a democratic dispensation. You don't stop and annul elections. The last time that happened, we know what it cost the country.
Yes. Nigeria is a big democracy that every other person must be on board to sustain it.
Yes.
Because derailing the process will actually cost not just West Africa, I think the African continent.
Exactly.
As a whole. Now, another message from the president, he acknowledged that there were technical problems with electronic transmission of the results. He maintained that efforts will be intensified to bring further transparency and credibility to the voting procedure in the country. This is not to say the exercise was not without fault. For instance, there were technical problems, of course, as he admitted. Now, people are yet to understand electronic transmission and uploading, you know, what the voters actually agree on, right? And I think this is the bone of contention.
Exactly it is. But when they are to quote, they quote as if electronic transmission of results is compulsory. If you check the Electoral Act, it is not. It goes side by side with the manual transmission of results. The electronic transmission of results is just to add to the integrity of the process.
Yeah.
It is not to say that it must be used. That's one point to make. The second point is that the Electoral Act gives INEC the leeway to decide what way in which it will transmit the results, whether it is manual or electronic.
Yes, and you know, Nigerians these days are very good, you know, at keeping records and then revisiting such records to prove a point. I saw a video of the Senate President yesterday explaining the workings of BVAS and then the IREF and all that. He was saying at their level, at the legislative level, what they agree is that yes, the forms, you know, filled where results are filled should be scanned, right, and then uploaded.
So, but they are getting it, but still, you know, they say scan the forms,
yes,
and upload, not type in.
Not type in the figures. Yeah, and I think this is where most of those that are not comfortable, of course, they have every reason not to be comfortable with the fact that these documents have not been uploaded for technical reasons or for other exigencies, right? But I think their thinking was that every figure, every number will be typed so that you, from the comfort of your room, will also log into that platform, type or look at how the results are being uploaded. Maybe we have to inform Nigerians that this is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because what they say is they will upload the form, and it's just for record and evidence purposes.
Yeah.
That okay, this form has been uploaded, the signatures, the corresponding signatures are there, these are the figures, you understand? But the manual submission of those forms will still go on side by side.
But why do you think INEC was so confident? Because even a few days to the election, the INEC chairman, of course, said that everything will be uploaded. Is it that they were deceived by the technical people, or certain things happened at the onset of the coalition that made them to actually change their mind and said, okay, let's just have everything manually and then later upload, since the uploading is for convenience? It's not really sacrosanct, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And anyway, we should also try and find out when they were saying they will upload. Was it uploading real time or uploading after the fact?
Good.
So because what the aggrieved parties are saying is that they expected the results to be uploaded real time.
Yeah. Now, another point he mentioned closely related to this. I know some politicians and candidates may not agree with this view. That is, you know, the technical hitch or whatever. That too is fine. If any candidate believes they can prove the fraud they claim is committed against them, then bring forward the evidence. I think this is a challenge from the president.
It is. And that is where the onus is now on the political parties to prove that they have a case.
Yes, and this is based on the fact that all of them, they have their representatives, right, party agents at the point of coercion. So what do you think we should expect going forward now, since like PDP, they have, they walk out of the process. Labour Party also walk out of the process. Do you think with this challenge posed to them by the president, will they be deterred, or you think they will still go ahead and carry documents to face the law?
Well, political parties can be funny. I remember 2011.
Yeah.
I was subpoenaed. My organization and I was subpoenaed to come and give evidence in court as hostile witnesses. We are not witnesses for either the plaintiff or the defendant.
Yes.
And it was based on our live transmission then, what they observed. There are two of us, there are two stations that were subpoenaed.
Yes.
That's in Imo State.
Yeah.
That's my former station and channels.
Okay.
And that's because in giving our reports, which we are not aware of, they noticed that a returning officer was announced. And when he was announced, he disappeared.
Just like what happened in Kebbi State.
Yes. He did not present. And that local government area was perhaps the largest local government area in favor of the incumbent governor.
Wow.
And because that area could not be presented, he lost a substantial amount of votes. And of course, you know that he lost the election in the final analysis.
Yes.
So this is the time that political parties will scout actively for that evidence. And then try and see if they can present it in court. There's also a 7-day period of review that INEC is supposed to review based on the complaints of...
Yeah, I had the INEC chairman saying that, of course, they will review genuine complaints in the interest of fairness.
So political parties should explore those avenues rather than start to organize protests, start to say things that will incite the populace. And I think the president also made reference to that by saying that if they had genuine cases, it's time to move to courts and to the...
Exactly.
And not to move to the streets, because if you move to the streets, it means that you don't have good intentions.
Yeah, he said after a degree of polarization that necessarily accompanies elections, it is now time to come together and act responsibly. I call on all the candidates to remember the peace pledge signed just days before the election. Do not undermine the credibility of INEC. Let us now move forward as one. The people have spoken. Have the people really spoken? Do you agree that the people have spoken?
Yes, I do. I believe that the people have spoken. I believe that maybe there might be cases for concern. But I do not see a situation in which the will of the people has been undermined.
But I have issues with the people, honestly, Kehinde.
Yes.
And do you know where I have issues with them? Over 93 million of us, registered. Of course, ahead of the election, INEC said only 87 or thereabout, right, collected their permanent
voters card.
But to the chagrin of all of us, only, the valid votes, let me just take that one, is 24,025,940 people went to the ballot. What does the outcome actually represent the aspirations of Nigerians?
It still shows that there is still the need for Nigerians to recognize that this is a very important process in the life of the nation. Despite all the noise about large turnout.
Yes.
It turns out that the turnout this year is even lower than 2019.
And 2019, you know, it was adjudged to be the worst scenario in Nigeria's history. So now this has depleted that Guinness record of 2019.
Of 2019. And so, what actually went wrong? That is something that should be interrogated after this whole process.
Okay.
Yes, it's good news that there was a robust contest.
Yeah, and I always look at the map with keen interest. Yes. You know, you can see the clear,
you can see
represent how things moved around, right?
Yes.
Which is good for our nascent democracy.
Yes.
But the question I want us to actually interrogate now is why the apathy?
Well, I think maybe some people saw the three candidates and believed they didn't really have a choice.
Okay.
Maybe the three candidates just did not
or
appeal.
four. Or four. If you will add Konkoso.
Just did not appeal to them. You know, going into, and the nature of campaigns also played a large role in that. Because, yes, the candidates presented their manifestos. But they spent most of the time, well, they did targeted, to present their manifestos, they did targeted audiences.
Exactly.
While at the campaign grounds, they were just
hurling insults.
Hurling insults at each other. Hurling accusations, denying accusations. And so most of the Nigerian people did not get to understand what is different that each candidate was bringing. And then there's a lot of sentiment.
Yeah, okay, this is the second one. Yeah, maybe number one, you mentioned options.
Yes.
Maybe Nigerians were not comfortable with but there are 18. Is it that the others could not navigate their way to limelight? Or?
How many of them went out to campaign? How many?
So even though the options are there, other factors affected the viability of the options.
Yes. And then, to compound the issues, we still had the cash crunch, and then we still had crippling fuel scarcity across the country.
Wow. Okay, what about the role of INEC in all this? Because personally, I made effort to vote after transferring my voter's card from Borno to Abuja and in Gwarimpa specifically. But on the day of the election, when I went to the polling board, I discovered that they created 3 polling points. One on the left-hand side and then 2 across the road. Now, those 2 across the road, the INEC ad hoc staff, security operatives, they were there ready for people to go and, cast their vote, but nobody. But on the other side, mine is 189. I saw more than 700 people there. So is it that INEC did not align the allocation? Because they created these polling units to ease this congestion. But here we are, I am a living witness. And at the end of the day, I was unable to vote.
Oh dear.
Yes, because I went there like 3 times, up till around 6 p.m. The large turnout remained there. Yeah, and people were just frustrated, and there are many who could not cast their vote. So what lessons should INEC learn ahead of the gubernatorial election? Because we have another election in the coming days. Some people are attributing this, poor, participation partly to this.
The allocation of polling units.
Exactly.
And remember, INEC had even warned that even going into there are about 240 polling units, that there would not even be elections at all?
Yeah, exactly. But Nigerians are not even talking about those places anymore, and those people have been written off whatever transpired this election season, which is partly contribution of insecurity to the whole thing. So I think INEC should learn that the delineation still has so many complications that need to be sorted out, and I hope they are listening to us. Now, Kehinde, can we move to the percentages of the candidates? Mm-hmm. You can see figures and percentages. Tinubu got 8.7 million, right? Is there any way we can compare this with what Buhari got in 2019 or 2015? And you can see Atiku got 29% with 6,984,000 votes. Obi 25% with 6,101,533, while Konkoso got 10% with 1,496,687. Yes.
Well, so it shows. If you look at the percentages between the first three leaders,
yes,
it shows that it was a close race.
Okay.
Because just about 5%, 7% from the leading candidate and the runner-up, and about 4% from the runner-up to the second runner-up.
Yeah. Good. Now we have Buhari's outing
in 2015.
2015. Oh my God.
12 million votes.
Yeah. In fact, it shows. 15.42 million.
Okay. Jonathan got.
This was in 2015. Yeah. And then Jonathan got 12 million. Oh my God.
In 2011.
Yeah, in 2011, Jonathan got
22 million votes.
Yeah.
Buhari, 12 million votes. And
Ribadu,
2.07 million votes.
Yes. Oh my God. I think we have a lot of lessons for nine. It's an indictment on all of us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because if at one election season, a candidate will garner 12.21 million votes. This was in 2011. You can see we hyped that more Nigerians have registered, young voters emerged, but at the end of the day, it was a dismal outing for Nigerians. And it shows that our commitment to entrenching democracy, honestly, is questionable.
It is. I should go beyond sentiments. That is what I feel. A lot of people have become enemies of each other on social media because of these elections. So it is very strange to me that we didn't see the heat and passion show up in appearance at the polling unit.
And appearance could be deceptive because the way millions of youths showed commitment on social media, one will think that at the end of the day, almost maybe we will have more than 80% participation in the electoral process. Yeah.
We didn't have that.
We didn't have that. So social media warriors have actually failed. And then...
And misled us. And misled us. Because we were expecting... Yeah, we had a close election. We had close numbers. We had changes. But we didn't have the numbers, the boots on ground. So is it that the social media warriors just remained on social media and didn't come out to vote on election day.
Again, now, do they have moral right to now dismiss the process, to dismiss what happened?
Anyone that didn't come out to vote has no moral justification to question the process. And even if you went out to vote, and this is the point I'm always making, your choice is different from other people's choices. And this is what clearly showed.
Yeah.
That, okay, despite the fact that we were made to believe that all choices were in one direction.
Yeah.
And there was going to be an overturn of the entire system.
Yeah.
We still have other people in Nigeria that have other choices and made other choices, voted alongside their choices, and came up with this kind of result.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, can we move to Tinubu specifically and see some of the things he spoke in his acceptance speech? What we captured actually in our paper was that he extended olive branch to Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso. Yes. Is this a good message from the president-elect to the people he actually defeated at the polls?
Yes, I think it's a good message. I think one of the things that has compounded Nigerian politics, that has dragged Nigerian politics down, is this winner takes all mentality.
Yeah.
When people get into office, they forget the other parties that contested with them and go ahead to behave as the ruling party, they are the only ones in the system and nobody else matters.
Yes.
Now, I hope that as he extended an olive branch to them, he will also back his words with action. Because sometimes...
How do you mean?
Sometimes it's not the leaders themselves. It's the people that surround them, that demand that we worked for you.
Yes.
And so you must compensate us for our devotion and loyalty to you.
Yes.
So right now, a lot of people have worked on this campaign for the president-elect based on what they perceive they will receive at the end of the day. Now, at the end of the day, that limits the president-elect's choices as to who he will bring on board.
Yeah.
And that means ab initio, you are not thinking of any other parties coming on stream. It means that you have to cater to your parties alone and not other parties. I'm hoping it will create a government of national unity and bring because this has been a close race.
But does he even have option, going by the electoral map now, not to make move to have government of national unity? They shared 12 states each. He has 12 states to his credit.
Yes.
Obi has 12 states to his credit, right? And Atiku also has 12 states to his credit. I think the contest has brought out the unity among Nigerians, right?
And the need to work together.
Meaning that for whoever is going to be president, he needs to bring together the other candidates, because even though they are no longer, in the limelight as, serious contenders up there, but they have their, people within the territory they control. For instance, if you take Kwankwaso in Kano, even though he just has Kano, but 2 senators to his credit, many members of the House of Representatives, to his credit. And if you look at the position of Kano in the configuration, you know that Kano will always have a say, going by the number of representatives they will have in the National Assembly.
Yes. I think that the truth about it is that the president elect has to work with all the parties, if they agreed to work with him. Because one thing for him to extend an olive branch, and it's another thing for them to accept
it. Yeah.
To work.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though he sounded a word of caution, he said that even if they don't want to work with him, they should work within legal framework to address their opposition.
There's still a lot of ground to cover before he comes in as president.
Yes.
And I think this period of time will be largely a period in which he will consult widely.
Yes.
To see how we can bring peace among all.
To the polity.
To the polity.
And I want to quote him here where he said, political competition must now give way to political conciliation and inclusive governance. Yes. During the election, you may have been my opponent, but you were never my enemy. In my heart, you are my brother. Still, I know some candidates will be hard put to accept the election result. It is your right to seek legal recourse. What is neither right nor defensible is for anybody to resort to violence. Any challenge to the electoral outcome should be made in a court of law and not in the streets. I think he's speaking like a president.
He's already speaking like he couldn't have said it better. Now is the time for the tension to be doused. There must be a deliberate attempt to decompress.
Yeah.
Because up until this moment, when the winner was announced, everyone was in war mood. But now, they have to decompress and bring the tempers of their followers down so that Nigeria can chart a way forward.
Of course, he said he acknowledged divisions, but that shouldn't have existed. And I think he's saying this from the mindset of the fact that most of the contenders at one time or the other were in the same room. I mean, were one and the same, you know, belonging to the same political party, and maybe they held similar positions and all that. Like Peter Obi was a governor. Tinubu was a governor. At a time, Tinubu supported Atiku, you know, to contest for the presidency under ACN, right?
Yes.
Is it AC or ACN? Yeah.
ACN,
at the time.
Yes, Action Congress of Nigeria.
Yes. So they are actually one and the same thing. And from my understanding, most politicians up there, they rarely give much traction to divisions in terms of political leaning, in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity. Why are their supporters obsessed with these mundane identities?
Because the supporters don't have a class identity. The elites have a class identity. And so the elites know that in the final analysis, if they don't manage the situation well, those under will revolt against them. And they won't look at, there won't be any separations when the people turn against them.
Yeah.
They will see them all as the rich people.
Yes.
So why is it, why is it difficult for people in the middle class and the low class to see that they are also one people that are suffering, if there are any economic dysfunctions now?
Like what we witnessed in the last 3 weeks. Of course, there is economic disequilibrium.
Yes.
But I didn't see any of the people up there queuing around ATMs or even in banking halls struggling to get
They probably had the cash brought to them at home. And so people should understand that at the bottom line, underneath all the agitations, the political process, and everything, the rich man will always be the rich man. And then those are aspiring to get into their class will always be aspiring to get into their class.
Yeah, yeah. And Tinubu specifically told his supporters to celebrate with moderation.
Which is very good advice. This is, if we are not going to promote divisions, then supporters should also have empathy for those that have lost and bring them, draw them closer and nearer. Because Nigeria is still one country.
Yeah.
We are still one people. Despite the competition and the contest, we still go back to our normal lives after all this.
Yeah.
So it's very important, and I'm glad he's talking in that way.
Yes.
Especially to his supporters.
Yeah.
That, look, tone down the celebrations. And maybe that's in a way the first question you ask.
Yes.
Which is about the ambience.
The ambience, yeah.
Maybe that's why everything is toned down for now. Because maybe even his supporters are not sure.
Yes, honestly, some of us who passed the night in the newsroom, because we left the newsroom around 5:30. You know, that was when we rested the paper, and that was when your team also came back from the International Conference Center. The ambience was a bit quiet. While driving home, I realized that there's quite a number of people driving, because I think many concentrated in certain locations to monitor the collation and the announcement of the results. And it appears that there is this agreement that we have to listen to the voice of reason.
Yes.
But I'm still interested in Lagos, where we have this thunderous celebration. Is it actually true celebration, or some people are now trying to readjust their perception about the president-elect? Because that is his home state. And he was defeated there.
I think for a lot of people it was like a sigh of relief that despite the fact that Lagos did not turn up for him, he still won the election. So that is why there's that thunderous celebration. Because the truth about it is that whether deliberately or maybe inadvertently, there are some stumbling blocks that were placed in front of an APC candidate becoming president.
Oh my God.
Because, you know, it might not have been deliberate, but this is not the time to have a cash crunch. And 3 weeks, and it went on continuously for 3 weeks into the elections.
Yes.
This is not the time for there to be fuel scarcity. That has lingered for almost 3 months. And then in addition to that, there is that economic hardship. That hasn't gone away.
So maybe hopefully with the elections over now, we will have cash.
We will have cash, hopefully.
But we brought the presidential candidate of Social Democratic Party, Adebayo, right? He sat on the very chair you are sitting on. And he gave a mind-boggling statistics. And I asked him, I said, we'll even fact-check you, sir. He said, go and fact-check. He said, the poverty is there. So the coming of the cash crunch is actually an addition to an existential problem. Because he said less than 1% of Nigerians have up to 100,000 in the bank. Meaning, even the people that were just shouting, it's just the bandwagon effect that, okay, something has happened, so let's also cry foul. But in real sense, there are millions of people that don't have a dime,
But
either
there-
at home or in the bank.
But there are also those, the working class, that don't have access to their funds. Even if you say he has 100,000 naira or less than 100, even if it is 10,000 naira he has in his account, if he cannot access that amount of money, you know, and don't forget there are people that sell and it's cash in hand.
Yeah.
And that thing is still impacting on their business.
Okay, for the politicians, is there any positive thing about what happened now? The fact that they said it, that actually what CBN did was to, snatch their money. Is this positive for our polity?
Well, incidences of vote buying were reduced drastically.
Okay, good.
But that doesn't mean the politicians did not devise
Yes,
alternate
we
means.
have seen cooking gas, we've seen bags of rice, we've seen spaghetti and all that. But what I'm trying to arrive at is, you see, politicians, they are not actually crazy people.
Yeah.
They have their book record. They know what they spend.
Yes.
Every single politician knows what he expended to be where he is.
Yeah.
And the first law in Nigerian context is, once you are able to now get to the point, you will now start thinking of recouping your investment, right? Now, with what we have now, maybe they have spent something, but maybe far below what they wanted to spend. Now, for those who succeed in getting power, don't you think their mindset of recovering what they spend will now to reduce and then move to delivering goods, governance, goods and services, and then governance to the electorate? Because I really want us to change the mindset so that we Nigerians will appreciate that, okay, there is something positive about all the euphoria, the negative euphoria around the cash crunch and all that, since most of those that won now, especially House of Reps, Senate and all that, we don't even know them. They were not known even in their communities. They got to that position by accident of sorts.
Yes, the newcomers, I hope, will not be influenced by those that are already in the system.
Aha.
Because there are already some people in the system. And, the theory of people recouping.
Yes, their investment.
Their investment. You find out that people recoup even far much more than they spend.
Of course, because they see it as an investment, and if you invested 100 million,
so you must make profit
of 300 million. This is it. And there are some, on the day they actually win, that is the day they will now change even their class.
Yes.
They will say, okay, between me and poverty, we have to pull apart. So, and for me to maintain the new position, I have to amass as much as I could. And I think with President Buhari is one of the things that he wanted to take out from us.
Yes, it was. If there is something, if there is a legacy that President Buhari has passed down, is to try and sanitize the political process.
Okay, has he done that? On a scale now, before we get to the governorship now, we are done with the presidential, right? On a scale of 10, how will you rate him, for instance?
Money in politics has been taken out.
Excellent. And then what about allowing people to have their say?
Allowing people to have their say is a present thing in this election. I hope it will be allowed to stay. The problem with agitation is that if you agitate, and you win through technicalities, you open the way for other people who did not win to also explore the path of technicalities.
Yes.
To get where they are. So that is the fear I have about all this. It's yes, everybody has a right to complain, but let's not jettison the whole process.
Throwing the baby with the bathwater.
And then fall into the hands of some politicians who want to take advantage of the hue and cry to recover and come back to a position they don't deserve to be in.
You are more or less like now asking the judiciary to actually brace up.
That's it.
Because we've seen many instances where decisions for the politicians were actually taken by the courts.
Yes.
And in some cases, against the wishes of the electorate. Maybe the electorate, they have spoken. They say, okay, this is the person we want. But maybe the person that did not get it, considering his influence and all that, he now circumvent the norm, go to the judiciary, use certain technicalities, and before you know, they have their way.
That's it. Because it's a very dangerous norm. The gains that these elections have brought, have brought the diversity into the electoral process, changed the whole character of the elections, and brought merit to the forefront. And no matter how you will argue it, the technical failures or the failures or the failures along the way or the perceived manipulations cannot erase that.
The merit of the process.
The merit of the process.
Okay, I want to look at this word merit from two perspectives.
Okay.
One, merit of the process, fair enough, meaning that people have been allowed to contest and then winners have emerged. Now, where do we place accidental winners vis-a-vis service delivery? You understand what I mean?
Yes. You know, that's also the danger that has come up with this process. But you know, you can't choose. Beggars cannot choose. There are some people that have rode on the coattails of a particular party.
Okay. Yes, beggars are not choosers, right?
They have that position now, not by virtue of they are knowing anything about legislation or anything. They are just there because a party went and the people voted for that party and voted top to bottom.
So we now have accidental politicians.
Yes, we do.
So what about it? How do we reconcile this with good governance? Because if you are an accidental politician and you've been given authority that you were not prepared for, is this not a recipe for chaos?
Yes. It goes two ways here. There are some people that have the capacity to improve themselves.
Okay.
Who will improve themselves when they get there? To prove that the choice that they are coming into office, that the people's choice was not a mistake.
Okay.
That it was deserved. But there are some people that don't have the capacity to improve themselves.
Because I have been citing this example, not necessarily at this forum. One of our former editors, he gave us an example that at certain time, one of the election seasons, I think 2003 or thereabout, a certain governor who never expected that he will be governor, he won. And when he won, someone close to him now approached this our editor to go and advise the governor-elect on how to get it right. And he went, they sat, they had an elaborate conversation with the governor-elect. But at the end of the day, he discovered that the man was actually battling to come to terms with the reality that he's a governor.
Let me see, because
okay.
I've covered presidents. There's a certain president that couldn't come to terms that he was president for the entire time he was there.
Oh my God.
It just, you know, you would see him walk into the hall and you see people applauding, and he'll be looking back. Is it me they're applauding? You understand? So, you know, there are instances like that. But that president rose to the occasion.
Okay.
And improved himself.
Okay, all right. Very interesting. So he rose to the occasion.
He rose to the occasion.
Okay, now the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is now arriving at the venue where he's going to receive his this is momentous.
No, people have even changed it around and say, democracy. Oh.
Okay.
You know,
it is very interesting.
Yeah?
You see, long walk to freedom, right?
Very tedious.
Yeah, in our paper today, we said Tinubu's long walk to presidency. We actually captured his struggles, how he carefully worked for this day.
Yes, and you see, a lot of people that actually campaigned against him don't realize that this young boy is very much yeah, it's a person that he was in the country against the will. We are sure that democracy will come to the country.
1993 in your mind, right? That is the conservative control Abiola's mind. So it's actually a positive thing for him. You can see him there with a mammoth presidency. Do you think that 2 weeks to today that he was still optimistic that something like this was going by his utterances and all that? Because I saw a man in pain. And it's one for you, right? Now, you see actually someone that you can face is prepared for this. Yeah, because you can see that person having tried this 3 times, right? He got it at the 4th attempt. Of course, maybe with the outcome of this election, I don't know, in the coming days we will see his election.
Please,
you can see how the world descends.
all the 8 gentlemen of the press, leave the front.
Now,
Party members,
even though
there are seats at the gallery where you can sit down.
first attempt at
Please, leave the front.
he got it.
Stop covering the
Time he knocked.
VIPs present, please.
Is he prepared?
Security officials, help us clear.
They had so many meetings about how to go. Let's not forget that if things had gone his way, he would have been vice president in 2015. He stepped down from that, and he appointed somebody to be
For some exigencies,
for
right?
some exigencies. So he's always been around
around power.
Around power. And I don't think he will have a dearth of people to work with. And this is what we talk about professionals, technocrats, like we call them in Nigeria.
Yeah, he's a man of the people. But President Buhari was also a man of the people. And after all the struggle, you know, I was telling you about that governor who, after winning, he was struggling to come to terms with the mandate he got. And when that our editor asked him, why do you want to what do you want to do so that I can now help, you know, some of the issues to see you what I need to do. He said, no, you are the one who will go and bring the
I think the problem, a lot of people try to say that Buhari was not prepared for governance when he came in.
But could that be true?
No.
Okay, it's not true.
I think he came into government with a plan. And then when he got into government, he realized that the plan he came into government with could not work.
Is it because he built the plan around himself? Because I'm trying to maybe whether we can have a nexus between one, having an idea to sell, how to prosecute that idea, the kind of people you need to have to get it right, and then even timing, because there was a kind of time lapse between when Buhari got his mandate and when, you know, he kicked the ball running.
He looked around and he couldn't find anybody to work with. That's the truth.
But is that not an indictment?
It is.
Mr. Kennedy?
He had prepared. He had prepared. He had a plan. He had that kitchen cabinet that they had sat together and worked out many scenarios. When he got into power, he realized that the economy was doing worse than he thought.
But is that a guarantee for someone to go to bed and start sleeping?
He didn't sleep. He didn't have money to work with.
No. I think, for instance, Mr. Kennedy, forming cabinet. Now, my expectation is that as a political reporter, right from the day you start your campaign, the first point of call, you have a contact person there. Or living there, if I were the president, I should go with the names of 2 or 3 people that, okay, I'm going to work with this. If I go to the next destination, I update the database. If I go to the 3rd destination, I update the database. Meaning that by the time you complete your campaigns and all that, you've already met with the right people to work with. Because a president is expected to make like 5,000 appointments.
Yes. But
5,000, not 5 people.
Do you know that that is why people accuse him of being nepotistic, of nepotism? Because the people he knew around him were the people from his side of the country. And he's a peculiar person. He will not be able to work with you if he doesn't trust you, rely on you. And I think there are instances in his past life that have brought about that character. So I think there's a vast difference between him.
Yeah, you must know him so much,
and the president-elect that is coming in. I think what Tinubu has that all others don't have is the network across the country. Not only across the country, even in the diaspora.
Okay, across, all over the world.
All over the world, that I can bring and say, come and do this for me. And those people will be round pegs in round holes.
It took Buhari 6 months, right? So they're about to have his cabinet. Do you expect Tinubu to have a, let me say, maybe shadow cabinet in the next 1 week? Because I remember when Biden, you know, when he won, a few days after we started hearing names, and the shadow cabinet was glaring. It was the same thing with Trump, who was actually not prepared for the presidency. But he too immediately he won, we saw his shadow cabinet. Do you think maybe for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we will have a shadow cabinet in Tinubu?
Yes, I think so. I think even as he goes to collect his
yes, the certificate of return. Yeah, the
think
clip
there are already people that have been lined up in positions that will step into it. You know, he's been speaking to people. The peculiarity of the Nigerian situation is that in your cabinet you must have one minister from each state.
Yes.
And so I want to believe that he has a network of people in each state of the federation, which is what Buhari didn't have.
Aha. And it affected him.
And it affected him. He had to rely on recommendations from his political associates.
Yeah.
Before he could make appointments and that's why it took 6 months.
Yeah.
Because the kind of person he is, even if he got those recommendations, he will still have to vet them and, do background checks on them, because he's not a person that trusts easily.
Yeah.
But if he trusts, he trusts and is unable to do anything to change them. I think that's where the difference will be. The last two presidents we had, well, both of them were unable to change their cabinet, even when it was clearing that some members of the cabinet had no business.
They were fixated of sorts.
Yes. But I don't think that Tinubu will retain incompetent members in his cabinet.
And as I said, beyond ministers, right, they will make thousands of appointments. Earlier, when you were talking about their performance, the performance of the candidates, you spoke about government of national unity, right? Now, do you think in forming his cabinet and in abiding by the federal character, because there is something unique about Tinubu, whether we like it or not, governors played an exceptional role, especially from the northern part of Nigeria, for one, insisting that power must shift
to the south.
And then secondly, looking at the president in his eye and say, this is the person we want, and this is what we want. And at the end of the day, they were able to have their way. But something monumental happened. Many of these governors who actually dissipated a lot of energy to see to the actualization of Tinubu's dream, they have a price to pay in their home front. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
Because many have lost out now. There are some who wanted to be senators. They couldn't stay at home to campaign. I don't know, I may be wrong in my analysis. There are some who have successors. There are some who wanted certain people to be House of Reps members, senators and all that. They have all lost out. How do you think Tinubu will compensate these governors? Should they come to the center as ministers?
Most likely what will happen. So that's where so you understand that's where we first start getting the pressures. The Tinubu cabinet must be a balance between the technocrats and the politicians.
Okay. So if I get you, what you're trying to say is that beyond political expediency, you should also look for competence. Because some of the governors, honestly, I'm sorry, they have baggage. They have a lot of issues to sort out. And maybe by the time they become ministers, they may end up being a distraction to the president. And if care is not taken and he didn't compensate them, because I don't think if all what they did is altruistic.
No. Everybody has has what they are looking for. I think that if he is going to make a success of his administration, his cabinet should be driven by the professionals.
All right.
Yes, you can compensate the political class.
Okay.
But make sure that
You-
he, you don't just give the Ministry of Finance to anybody.
Okay, he should be careful in his
He should be
selection.
careful in his
All right,
selection.
thank you very much, Kende Ahmadu. We are constrained. I'm enjoying the conversation, but we have no option but to go to the International Conference Center where
The candidate of APC as the winner.
viewers, this is where we stop here as we move to the
It's in that light that we are here today, this afternoon, simply to present the certificates of return to the President-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Vice President-elect, who's also the former governor of Borno. With that, Chairman of INEC, I will simply invite you to make a few remarks, and then I will invite the President-elect and Vice President-elect to step up to collect their certificates of return. Okay, I've been advised to simply invite the President-elect to step up to collect the certificate. Thank you. It's my pleasure to now invite the Vice President-elect, Alhaji Kashim Shettima, to step forward and collect his certificate of return. Thank you, please. Now that the President-elect and the Vice President-elect have collected their certificates of return, it's my pleasure to invite the President-elect to make a few remarks, please.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President-elect, Senator Kashim Shettima, Your Excellencies, our respectable governors here present, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, our dear INEC Chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and the National Commissioners here present, Honorable Ministers and members of National Assembly, particularly the Senate President and the Speaker. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on the previous protocol enumerated here. You all have my respect and courtesies. As I hold this certificate, this moment is one of the celebration and gladness for us all. The road has been long, yet we walk it. The battle has been hard fought, yet we won it. But more importantly, I realize that I'm just a servant of the larger purpose. You see, this is more than a document of certificate of election, confirming the positive outcome of an election. This important document symbolizes our collective democratic attainment and even loftier aspirations. It represents the impending transfer of most sacred duty and trust from one person to another. At its most sublime, this certificate also symbolizes that each of you has the ability to achieve what other believes is impossible for you to achieve. I stand before you as the President-elect, and yes, that is special. But I am not different than any one of you. If I can do this, you even can do it better. You must do better. Our destiny as a people and a nation depend on our ability to share the artificial restrictions of bias and prejudice, so that we live fully unto our democratic creed, that no one is innately superior or entitled to greater rights and opportunities than any other Nigerian. Very soon, this nation shall witness a young person standing before you, holding this great symbol of democracy and national leadership. We shall see a woman standing before you, holding this certificate as its owner. We shall experience someone from a tribe that many people have tried to dismiss as somehow beginning to disqualify for this high office. By dint of hard work, determination, and unyielding belief in a noble endeavor, you can achieve the best of things. There are young people listening to me right now who shall one day be the leaders of our precious and exceptional democratic republic. Thus, by taking this certificate, I assume a sacred duty I shall never ignore. To you, the people, especially the youth, I will work day and night. I will work to the utmost best of my ability to make Nigeria better. For this to be a victory at all, it cannot simply be a victory for one man or even one party. It must become a victory for all Nigerians who are committed to a greater society. I know many did not vote for me, and you are disappointed that your candidate is not where I stand now. I understand. You hurt. Your anger, disappointment. I send the embrace and comfort of one family member to another. This great project called Nigeria beckons to us all. It is bigger and more important than any partition divide. To my supporters, I ask you to continue to have faith in the mission that we have articulated. Though those who didn't support me, I ask that you not allow the disappointment of this moment to keep you from realizing the historic national progress we can make by working together. We must join hands in this common endeavor to pull the nation through. In a phrase, I'm asking you to work with me. I may be the president in election, but I need you more importantly. Nigeria needs you a lot more than just one person. My heart, my door are open to you. I ask you to come in so that we may begin the task of rebuilding our national home together, day by day, brick by brick. Where there is poverty, let us create prosperity and jobs. Where there is hunger, let us feed the people, chasing the hunger from our midst. Where there's no scarcity, let us rediscover the abundance. Where there's brutality, we may replace it with brotherhood. Where there is violence, stock the land, we may establish peace. Where others have erected temples to hatred and bias, we may reconstruct permanent monuments to compassion and abiding affection. History will record that this day as the moment when I officially stood before you as a president-elect. However, I would like to dedicate this day and record it as the moment that we vowed to come together to make Nigeria stand shining forth as the beloved and brave republic that God created for all of us. We are committed to the progress, development, and renewed hope of Nigerians. God bless you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to recognize the presence of Her Excellency, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Laing. Also permit me to recognize the presence of Her Excellency, the European Union Ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Samuel La Isopi. Also, representative of the United Nations in Nigeria here present, as well as other members of the diplomatic corps. with the remarks of the President-elect, we have come to the end of this very important national ceremony. We thank you for coming. Let us now rise for the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
results from polling units.